Hey there, Bruins fans! Welcome back to BNG Hockey, where it's always black and gold. The Boston Bruins win by a score of 2-1 over the Ottawa Senators in probably the most boring game of hockey I've watched in a long time, especially after watching them totally destroy the Canadiens in an 8-1 game. This game was not as exciting, but let's talk about it. I think we should start off with the shots on goal totals from this game. The Ottawa Senators outshot the Boston Bruins by a total of 34-21. They outshot them in the first period and the second period. Let's start things off with the first. They outshoot the Bruins by a total of 9-3. And frankly, the Bruins come out completely flat-footed. They do have two fresh bodies coming in with forward Brendan Gaunce and defenseman Steven Kampfer on the back end. Clifton comes out, Studnicka comes out. I did not like that, but we will get to that later. And the Bruins just can't seem to get it going. The Senators are all over them. They should have outshot them by a lot more, but for some reason the Senators missed just about every shot they took for the first 5 minutes. I swear, every time they had a good opportunity, they would just send it, and it would go about 5 feet wide of the net. So the Bruins got real lucky there, taking advantage of the lack of talent that the Senators have, but I give it to the Senators. They came out with a lot of energy. They've been doing that all year. A team that's not really supposed to win games oftentimes has this energy saying, hey, we'll catch you flat-footed. If you're not going to play us, we're going to make you pay. And the Senators definitely did that out of the gate here against Boston. For those of you who watched the Montreal game, it was tied 1-1, and the Bruins come out in the second period and take over the game. So I was hoping that was going to happen here against the Senators. They did have to travel. They took a train. It was only a 2-hour train ride, but it's still a back-to-back game with travel. I understand it can be tough, but here we go. Second period, you're going to come out with some new energy, and the Senators outshoot the Bruins 15-7. That can't happen. I don't care what team it is playing you, that cannot happen. So I was really frustrated with the Bees' effort in the second period. I understood the first period, but there was no reason to not be into the game by that point. They did bring up the physicality a little bit. It seemed like as we went through to each period, both teams were hitting more, but I saw that from Boston a lot more, so I will definitely give them credit for that. Bruce Cassidy did a lot of juggling of the lines. He had Coyle go between Pasternak and Marchand, then he put Pasternak down with Krejci and DeBrusk, and he brought Heinen with Coyle and Marchand, and he put Gaunce with Lindholm and Nordstrom. It was all sorts of crazy lines, so maybe they needed some adjusting there. That makes sense. They're a pretty tight-knit group, though, so I didn't think that should be a big factor, especially against an opponent that you should demolish in the Ottawa Senators. Let's go to the third because that's where the action is. Unfortunately, the action starts off with a Senators goal. There's some chaos at the other end, but Thomas Chabot doesn't care. He goes right up the middle, right in Tuukka Rask's face, and scores his third goal of the season. And this one really frustrates me because with just about every talented young player in the league, I look back to that awful draft where we had 3 selections and only one of them is on our team currently. It's Jake DeBrusk. The other is Jakub Zboril and Zach Senyshyn. We saw Senyshyn play this year, and he looked pretty good, so there's still hope for him. There's still hope for Zboril too, but the funny story here, for those of you who don't know, just looking back at the draft, Zboril and Chabot were a D pair for the same team. They both played for the Sea Dogs. So if the Bruins are scouting Zboril, every time he's out on the ice, Chabot is out on the ice. So you drafted Zboril, who is yet to play any full season in the NHL. Chabot has pretty much been an elite level defenseman since he stepped on the ice in Ottawa. That's the guy you selected. You selected the wrong guy. And it's not like you weren't scouting Chabot because he was literally out there every time your draft pick was. So that's frustrating to me. I get the Barzal, I get the Connor, I get the Besser. Those frustrate me too. But this one you were literally staring at an elite level defenseman and you didn't think to draft him. So great goal here by Chabot. If you're a Senators fan, at least you got this kid, you got Brady Tkachuk, you got some good young players. This team will come around in time. So don't be worried because that kid's a stud. Nice goal. They lead 1-0. Shortly after that, though, Sean Kuraly up to Anders Bjork. Bjork showing a lot of patience here. He is growing with each and every game that he plays. has that patience, circles around, finds Marchand with a great pass. Marchand a little hesitant on the shot, kind of fakes out Nielsen with that move, puts it past him for his 18th goal of the season. Marchand just continuing to rip it up for this team. He is an all-star and just keeps getting better with age. So great goal here by Marshy. Huge to bring up the team. It's now tied 1-1. You get the boys going. Great pass by Bjork. Great pass by Corrali to Bjork. Corrali had 3 assists in the Montreal game. He picks up another point here. It's great to see a hardworking fourth liner being rewarded with these assists. So good on the Bees. They tie it up 1-1 pretty quickly. And shortly after that, there is a huge shift from a line that Bruce Cassidy threw together of Par Lindholm, Joakim Nordstrom, and Brendan Gaunce. I know, not all-star names at all, but they had a couple really good shifts for the Bees, especially in this third period. Gaunce working hard, gets it over to Nordstrom, Nordstrom back to Gaunce, Gaunce over to Zdeno Chara with a great backhand pass. Z is wide open at the point, steps into a shot, puts it past Anders Nielsen for his 5th goal of the season. The captain puts the Bees up by a total of 2-1. Let's talk about Brendan Gaunce real quick. Gaunce signed with the Bruins this offseason. He played with the Canucks before, never really worked out in Vancouver, so I think he wanted to change. Decides to come to Boston. He's really solid in the AHL so far, but he's always been that borderline NHL guy. He gets into the lineup tonight. I thought Zdeno had a great game for the Bruins, and if you've seen some of my past videos, I am really high on this kid being the future of this team and eventually a number 1, number 2 center for Boston. So I want to see as much of Zdeno as I can whenever I can. So I was disappointed to see that he gets scratched for Gaunce. But Gaunce was working hard in this game. He did take a penalty, but that's fine. That happens to everybody. He looked pretty solid for a depth forward guy. So I was happy to see him get a point here in this game. It can be frustrating when you never really make it to the NHL and you're always being brought up and sent down and brought up and sent down. And so the Bruins gave him a chance here. He grabbed the opportunity against a bad team, gets a point, doesn't play that many minutes, but he looked okay. My third star is Brad Marchand. He puts the Bees up 1-0 with his 18th of the year, playing with all sorts of different line mates tonight. It's great to see him continue to be an all-star level player, even without Patrice Bergeron. Second star has to go to the captain. He's still bringing it at this age, playing almost 24 minutes, had 3 block shots, and as the game winner to put the Bees up 2-1. 5th goal of the season. The big man still bringing it on offense, even though he's more of a defensive defenseman now because he's a little bit slower, but great to see it from the captain. Number 1 star goes to Tuukka Rask. Good on Bruce Cassidy for starting Rask on the second half of the back-to-back because this team looked awful throughout this game, and if Rask doesn't play like he did tonight, they probably lose. So great job by Tuukka here grabbing his 12th win. With this win, the Bruins improved to 17-3-5. That's a great record, especially with it only being Thanksgiving, and the Bruins are already looking like a Stanley Cup contender once again. That's all I got for you in this one. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a big like, and if you haven't already, subscribe.